was only 88 pounds. So I had to sign a waiver for that. I got injured because I was so small and fragile, but I did it anyways. And I begged them not to send me home. I was like, I will work harder. I want to be a Marine. Like, challenge accepted. Watch me, a female gunnery sergeant of the United States Marines. Not even 1% in the country. That's when it clicked that I really did do something. I never chased the rank. The rank always found me. My goal was from day one to be able to fly into O'Hare Airport and see that butterfly logo out that window. I have worked hard, worked in silence. 2 weeks ago, we executed finally at the O'Hare Airport and the dream came true. My heart was full when I actually got to witness my brother dumping at O'Hare Airport. I still can't believe it. We always want everybody to know is that you belong, you're worthy, and your dreams are valid. So keep dreaming, but don't just dream, chase it.
Hey, welcome to The Shift, where we talk about leadership and business transformations. Now, today I have Julie Franco with me on the show. And Julie, I know you are a proud Marine Gunnery Sergeant. You are also an entrepreneur. You and I have met through the SBA Thrive Program that I was coaching for. This is a 6-month program for those of you who don't know it. Julie was part of this. And so you came from the military, you turned entrepreneur. You were intensely driven by purpose. You have so much passion inside of you, and you're also driven by service. Now, you had a very successful career in the Marine Corps. You shared that you carry a lot of your values of discipline, of leadership, and of resilience into that civilian life where you now work with civilian business partners. And you launched, that's how we met through the SBA Thrive program, Franco Hauling. That's your construction industry supply company. And then I remember last year you launched Gunny Gear, and got my cup here, which is a military-inspired apparel brand designed to empower, honor active duty members, veterans, and all of those who support them. And so I'm really excited to hear from you. What led you to start these companies? What insights we can share with this audience here? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you. As an entrepreneur, all through the day, you have so many decisions to make. You're dealing with so many different personalities and everything, and you have the good days and you have the bad days.
I see you on social media. You're always traveling. You go between, Dallas, Fort Worth Metroplex and Chicago, I know, right? And then I know you've been this year traveling intensively, I think, to promote Gunny Gear.
Yes, I have been so blessed and fortunate that these opportunities are coming my way. And I'm one of those persons that I'm like, if it's coming my way, I'm going to take it. So Gunny Gear actually we started in Bentonville, Illinois, which is where I'm from. We came back to Texas because that's where I live with my kids. And then I won an award. So I got to go to Atlanta, Georgia. And I was invited to go to California. So any little places that people reach out to and, we haven't touched, haven't been to, I do my best to get out there. Somebody actually reached out to me for Indiana. So I'm like, hey, why not?
Nice. Really
So we'll see
nice.
about that one. Yeah.
How do you decide about the locations that you expand into? Is that an expansion or is it just a partnership?
Just partnerships. Honestly, everything has been lining up in its own. So it hasn't been that difficult in the sense that when I went to Georgia, I was awarded the 2025 Veteran Business Owner of the Year with the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So I was going to be there, and the opportunity was you're able to set up a booth. So I was like, definitely going to take it. I'm in a room full of my Latino community, veterans. And the cool thing about Gunny Gear is that you don't have to be the one that served because it turns into a conversation or starter, which is what I am so excited about because you knew somebody who did serve. You're a family member, you're a friend, or whatever the case is. And we will sit there and have these beautiful conversations. And I get to meet so many wonderful people and share their stories and just, remember that, just remember our time in service and the fact that with everybody supporting us, We couldn't do it without the people helping us and supporting us. So I want to make sure
Lovely.
everybody's included.
Ah, yeah, that's awesome. Tell me, like, I mean, I know a little bit more about you than the audience does, but what inspired Gunny Gear? Like, I mean, if the audience is listening to this and they go, like, okay, so she has been in the Marine Corps and she has a construction supply company and now she has an apparel company. Hmm, right? How do we get from A to B to Z? Can you share a little bit more about these?
Yeah, it's really funny, very interesting because Franco Hauling is a construction hauling and supplier dump truck service provider in Chicago, Illinois. Um, and it all just made sense again. When I was active duty, I did logistics. And my brother at the time was a truck driver. And we always talked and played with the idea of going into business together. 10 years later, we established Franco Hauling. Um, and I just started working a lot. I worked a lot, and I post a lot on my Facebook, on my social media, because a lot of people ask me the same question. So I found it easier to deliver the same answer, which was just posting it and carry about my day. Um, and then, but there was something in me that always had the desire to, showcase, like you said, how proud I am of being a Marine, being a gunnery surgeon and stuff. Um, so when I was 17 years old, I asked my dad to sign me away to the Marine Corps. At that time, he had to sign a waiver, and I was only 88 pounds. So I had to sign a waiver for that. Instead of 3 months, it took me 5 months because I got injured because I was so small and fragile, but I did it anyways. And when I did it, what do you do when you graduate college or you graduate boot camp? What's the first thing you want to do? You want to go to that exchange tour to buy something, a t-shirt that's going to represent what you accomplished. Whether you went to DeVry University, which is where I graduated from, or Marine Corps boot camp. When I got there was nothing that fit me because I was an extra small Marine. And I waited and I waited because I knew I wasn't the only one that was experiencing this. So I had a feeling it was going to come. It was going to come. I, continued down my journey and it never happened. So 23 years later, here we are with the first military inspired clothing brand through a woman in the military's perspective. 250 years it took, but here we are. And I just love that so many people are so open, so loving. And the number one question is like, how did I not think about this sooner?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just, by the way, that you share your small size. It's not just, for size XXS or whatever, right? Because I see
No.
pictures all the time, like you carry to multiple sizes, body
Yes.
shapes, what have you. Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, I want to make sure everybody's included. We all come in different shapes and sizes. So I just want to make sure that everybody's represented. Share that pride.
That's nice. When we met through the SBA Thrive program. What made you join that program initially?
Desperation.
That's honest. Yeah. Oh.
I love being honest. Why not? The truth is, you know, I don't know anybody in my family that's an entrepreneur. So I couldn't go and ask these difficult questions to anybody. I did a lot of research and I came across SBA Thrive. And I'm like, okay, well, that's where I'm trying to go to. I'm trying to get to the federal contracting level. So why not go to the resource? And the bonus, it was a free course. And I did not realize how much I was actually going to obtain. Here I am still talking to you, which I love. And, you motivate me, inspire me. I'm such a fan of yours. But then we were in a room where you tested us. You made us think outside the box. You didn't give us the answers, but we all worked together to be vulnerable and most importantly, to be strong. So I I was so fortunate that I was accepted in this program. I talk about it all the time because I think more people should join this. More people should, know that being an entrepreneur, you don't have to do it alone. Like, don't suffer.
That is so true. I love what you just shared. You said you force us to be vulnerable and strong. And I think the two go hand in hand. When you lay down what you think is strength, when you are vulnerable or humble, I think is really what you are. It's how I know you, right? When you lay down a little bit of what you think is strength, you open yourself up to new opportunities, to learning, to building strength. It takes vulnerable to become strong in a way. Yeah.
I agree 100%. 100%.
So when you go through a program, any program, it forces you to look at yourself and like, what am I actually doing in my daily business? Because it's easy as a business owner, especially
Yes.
as a small business owner, to get caught up in the daily grind. There's so many
Yes.
decisions to be made, high velocity, multiple hats to wear, and you just go, 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 go. Talking about decision making. So now you have a broader foundation, so to speak. So you said, okay, so desperation, you said, got you there, but you didn't exit with that, even during the time before we ended, because I remember on our last meeting when we celebrated together, you shared that you had already come up with Gunny Gear, and now you run two companies. You have to divide your time between the two. You also have parental responsibilities, and so how do you, as a business leader, now having multiple responsibilities, how do you divide your time? How do you make sure that you stay on top of everything?
Um, I have implemented a bunch of the stuff that I did learn at Thrive into Franco Hauling, especially. Um, and what I learned is that once you get the fundamentals on one thing, you can improvise and implement it in another. So it was important to get that foundation first. Um, and then from there, I just hired the right team to help me behind the scenes um, with kind of like you were saying, the daily task that I knew somebody else could handle for me. And they're doing a great job. I'm really happy about that because the number one thing that I wanted was to get some time back so that I could actually create Gunny Gear. At the beginning, I actually would wake up at 3 in the morning and sketch and design what I had in here onto paper. Um, and then from there, I just, like I said, I had the team behind me for Franco Hauling to be able to, handle that. But at the end of the day, all I had to do was do the revisions. Um, so then, yeah, just kind of divided my time in that sense. But like I said, I think the most important thing is that once you learn one thing, you can actually implement it on two different companies. So get one foundation and go to the next one. And that's how I'm able to balance.
Yeah, I think what they're saying is, and I hear this all the time too, and I disagree somewhat with the Shark Tank argument that you can't do two things at the same time and be great. Yes, you can. Diversifying, because you're not investing just in one thing. You have multiple, or also not leaving an opportunity on the table. I also find it quite hypocritical if somebody investing in multiple businesses and running multiple businesses tells me to
Mhm.
not do that. Right? What are you saying there?
And that's the biggest thing too, is like you hit it right on the head. I saw an opportunity with Gunny Gear and shame on me if I left that on the table, and I cannot believe what it's leading into. I cannot believe the amount of opportunities. And you learn about Gunny Gear, so you're going to learn about Franco Hauling. You learn about Franco Hauling, you're going to learn about Gunny Gear.
That's right. That's right. And just you handling it so well proves that it is possible to do that, because both businesses have grown and have done incredibly well. So
I'm
yeah.
so grateful right now, honestly, because honestly, like I said, I always talk about the Thrive program. The Thrive program got me ready. It got me ready. I don't know if you remember one of my goals with the butterfly on my truck.
Share that story. People need to hear it. I know you shared it in the Thrive program, but yeah, I think this is worth telling.
So, Franco hauling, when you see my dump trucks, you will see a red truck with a American flag butterfly logo on the side of the truck. The reason I wanted it to be a butterfly was because that's my symbol of God. And most importantly, my goal was from day one to be able to fly into O'Hare Airport, which is an international flight, and see that butterfly logo out that window. The reason being is because I want anybody from any part of the world to see that butterfly logo and a little girl to be like, wait, what's that? If she can do it, I can do it. So I have kept my mouth shut. I have worked hard, worked in silence. 2 weeks ago, we executed finally at the O'Hare airport and the dream came true.
Seriously, do tell.
Yes, things get challenging and there's times when you're just like, my gosh, like, what am I doing and stuff? But you have to stay focused. You have to stay quiet, follow that vision, follow that mission, and know that you're on the right path. And I did it and it worked.
So now you're
so,
being seen from O'Hare. If I landed at O'Hare, where would I see you?
we are in the, golly, I think it's like the Terminal 5. If you pay attention, there are 3 red Franco hauling dump trucks with the butterfly logo on it. And actually, I landed at O'Hare 2 weeks ago, and I already knew where to look because I'm the one that did the contract. And I looked out the window, and my heart was full when I actually got to witness my brother dumping at O'Hare Airport. I still can't believe it.
I love
so
it. I love
yeah.
it.
So thank you
Okay.
guys.
You did say it didn't come without challenges, and I want to hear about them. So what is one of the biggest challenges, I would even say failures, that to anybody listening here, they can learn from you. They don't have to go through it on their own. Sometimes we learn from other people's mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about one of those challenges that informed how you run your business today.
You know, I always tell people, I get this question quite often. And the truth is that being a woman in these male dominant industries is a challenge in itself. Every day you have to stand tall, and I'm only 5'1". And so you have to stand tall, stand firm on who you are, and know that you belong there. People are like, oh, get a seat at the table. No, set the table. So set the tone. So that was one of the biggest challenges. I would go into these board meetings and I would go with my brother, who's my business partner, Hector, and everybody knew that we are a veteran owned company. So they would turn to him and say, thank you for your service. And he's like, no, it's actually her. So that was definitely a challenge. I was questioned a lot because somebody that looks like me wasn't capable of running a trucking company. Um, which, at the end of the day, to me, it was like challenge accepted. Watch me. And these programs, the mentorships, these conversations gave me that confidence that I lacked and that I needed to be able to move forward. And like I said, I just have, kept my mouth shut and worked under the radar to make sure that I implement better strategies, better planning, better team members, and all that good stuff, and just continue to execute and finding the right partnerships that understand, the challenges of being a small business to be able to scale to the different levels. Because, at the end of the day, access to capital is so hard, so challenging. But having those cash flow charts help.
Yeah, that's that financial discipline, right? That rigor and planning. Like people think they just look at like who to partner with next, how to do the next big thing, but you need a little bit of financial discipline and that rigor of strategic reflection. Where am I going? Where am I headed? How much am I spending right now? Where's my money coming in from? Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Now,
the one thing too, I do want people to know and understand, everybody thinks is, this beautiful luxury life of being an entrepreneur. But you have to know and be ready that you are the last person to get paid.
yeah,
Like, if you're lucky and if there's anything left over, you get paid. I actually took a huge, huge pay cut, about 70% pay cut to work full time on my company. It has been hard and challenging, but do I regret it?
a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to another business owner who also tried to de-romanticize the idea of entrepreneurship, right? And I know this year a lot of people have lost their corporate jobs, due
Yeah.
to AI movement. Everybody jumps on the same bandwagon right now, but that's the reality we're facing right now. And if you have lost your job and you're in the corporate world and you're thinking about whether or not to apply for another job or become an entrepreneur, the
Mhm.
disillusionment that has to happen right now is there's no get rich quick stuff. Even whatever Instagram and all these guys tell you is that's not the thing.
No.
There is also so this guy I talked to a couple of weeks ago, Jeff Kalbars, he said, yeah, 40-hour work week, work life balance. He goes, you will eventually get that. You will have some freedoms that you didn't have in corporate, but more often than not, you will find yourself working 96 hours a week than 46 or whatever, right? I want to hop on something that you shared earlier about being a woman in a male dominated industry. If I would give anybody advice that's in the corporate world and they, especially like, when people are entering the job market or they're very young in leadership, in any business, whether it's corporate, like the big corporate world or a small business, when you are in an industry like construction, right? And people have an expectation, don't take offense. Number one, if you want to succeed there, do not take offense at them assuming that you are not the leader in charge. So if they underestimate you, it makes you a weapon because now they're not even seeing it coming and you can prove them wrong. I mean, you have to work a little harder to prove them wrong, but they don't even know what will hit them. You go, "Oh, I know what I'm doing."
They've called me a sniper before just because they were like, wait, what just happened? But that's the thing though. Like, I don't take offense to it. I know for a fact I will give credit to the Marine Corps, right? That was the thing that the Marine Corps instilled in me. You're a woman and it's going to be hard, deal with it. So when I go to
Deal with
these
it.
meetings, I'm a woman. It's hard, but I'm dealing with it. And honestly, I am already aware of it. So it doesn't really, it's my superpower. I think that's why I'm so proud about being a Marine, right? I was mentally, physically challenged every day, day in, day out. I actually had the option to go home as a civilian, and I begged them not to send me home. I was like, I will work harder. I want to be a Marine. And the drill instructor was like, why? I'm like, I want to prove my dad wrong. He said I couldn't do it. I'm going to do it. And they allowed me to stay and I just pushed harder and I just, it was a passion, it was a drive. And just now today, my former boss from the Federal Aviation Administration, he was like, why don't you ever talk about your military time? I'm like, because that was my job. You know, I'm a humble person, believe it or not. And he's the one that opened my eyes and said, do you understand that I will never meet a female gunnery sergeant of the United States Marines ever again? And I was like, but the reality is that we're like not even 1% in the country. So I was just like, I think that's when it clicked that I really did do something.
Julie, to me, I'm outside of the military world. To other females who are considering, maybe young girls listening to this or their parents seeing it right now, why a gunnery surgeon? Like, what about it attracted you to that?
Um, so, first I was attracted to the Marines because they have the best uniform in the world. But all jokes aside, honestly, I was a tomboy growing up, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be good in the Air Force, air, land, and sea. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? Why am I going to half it? No, just do it all. So I decided to take the full challenge and do it all and find out what I was good at and what I wasn't. And the Marine Corps will make sure you're good at everything before you graduate. So that's why I joined the Marines. And then I did my 4 year active duty. And my biggest thing is I never chased the rank. The rank always found me, which I love. All I knew is that I knew, and everybody in the Marines, the military knows, like, hey, once you get promoted to this position, you have to do X, Y, and Z to get to the next. And then again, X, Y, and Z and get to the next. And all the discipline, I always did what I was supposed to do before I was even asked. So I didn't even know I got selected to pin gunnery sergeant until somebody actually, I just started getting all these messages. Um, and they're like, congratulations, congratulations. I'm like, wow, what did I do? They're like, you got selected. You're going to be a gunnery sergeant. I'm like, wait, what? So I logged into Marine Online and my name was on that list with so many others. And I was just shocked and grateful.
So
So,
why do you think so few females are attracted? Do they not know what it's about, or do they not agree that the uniform is the cutest?
um, honestly, it's really weird because to me, I wasn't really afraid of it, but a lot of people are afraid and terrified of boot camp. Like, listen, you watch Full Metal Jacket and you're like, oh God, I'm not doing that. I don't want my twin. I have an identical twin. And she's like, I don't want somebody yelling at me all the time. I don't want to be told what to wear, what to do, and all that stuff. And I was fascinated. I like the structure. I like the challenges and just, I wanted to be something bigger than me. And 9/11 had happened. And I wanted to give back to my community, whichever way that meant.
You wanted to serve a specific
It's,
purpose, and so I think this is important to know. Like who sign up for this program, for any program there, they have they have bought into that purpose. That I mean, how else to say it? If you don't believe in the cause, then you won't sign up for any program. And if you believe in something, then you also endure a lot of those things, right? So the same thing for entrepreneurship. If I tell you that entrepreneurship might mean that you half your salary, don't earn income, or don't have work-life balance for a while, right? That's going to be challenging, and it's going to be challenging not for,
yeah,
just for 2 years, but maybe for 5, maybe for 8. What do you know, right?
yeah.
Then now you know, and if you are really bought into a certain vision and a purpose, then you will endure those things. If you don't have clarity on that, you won't endure anything.
You know, it's You know what's crazy is when I worked for the government, which I love my job working in the FAA is one of the best careers I had. And I had to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and it was a struggle. But I did it. Now working for myself, I will wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and not have a problem. It's just
Yeah.
you're driven by passion and inspiration and stuff. And you just want to leave your mark in this world before, you know, we all go.
I had a conversation with a client when over lunch, and he said, "Well, you pick the hardest things. Like, why do you do that?" I go, "I will always pick a challenge for myself, and I will always go for the harder thing because it trains." I'm a sucker for discipline. I love building discipline because it's one thing to build a routine, but to build strong self discipline,
Yeah.
it's the gift that keeps on giving, because when times get hard, and there always will, there's always a moment when you least expect it, right? When you have
Mm.
built that resilience, when you have a certain level of discipline, it will help you. Like, of course, like if I'm a person that never gets challenged and I always sleep in late and I kind of, I don't want to get off the couch, whatever. Then if I have to climb stairs, I will huff and puff because it feels really, really hard. What is one thing before we close that you would want people to know? And also, I would, of course, we're going to have links in the description box, no question asked there. If there's a resource, something that people should know, where they should find you, what would that be? What would you tell them?
Where you could find me on all social media. Just look up Gunny Gear, gunnygear.com. That's my website where you'll find all the merchandise so that you can join the movement and be part of the military inspired clothing brand through a woman's perspective. Um, and if there's one thing that I always want everybody to know is that you belong, you're worthy, and your dreams are valid. So keep dreaming, but don't just dream, chase it. I'm so happy that we had this time to actually connect again and update each other on what we're doing. And, I'm one of your fans.
Thank you. So am I.